At RxBar, they believe in simple nutrition without the BS. That's why they said no to artificial ingredients and yes to deliver intentional, transparent nutrition. Try their original 12-gram protein bar, the nut butter and oat bar, or minis. RxBar, the proud sponsor of No BS. Use code RxBar on rxbar.com for 25% off. Subject to full terms and conditions and to change. Valid until September 30, 2025, and may not be combined with other offers. See rxbar.com for full details and limitations.
Do you ever scroll through social media only to find yourself bombarded by bad news, worse comments, hot takes, picture-perfect families, and yet another humbling professional update? It's hard not to get wrapped up in how everyone else is doing. But imagine how you'd feel if you spent just 45 minutes focused on how you're doing. At Cerebral, we make it easier than ever to access dedicated therapists and doctor-prescribed medication personalized to you. And the best part? Cerebral offers in-network care, so you can focus on feeling better without worrying about the cost. In fact, 72% of people say they felt better in just 12 weeks. So take the first step today. Visit Cerebral.com/podcast to see how affordable and accessible mental health care can be with insurance.
Sleeping hot and sweaty, tossing and turning all night is like being on a team that never has home field advantage. You're losing before the day even begins. It's time to reverse the curse and solve your sweaty sleep problems with Coop Sleep Goods. Their entire cooling collection, including pillows, sheets, and more, is equipped with cool-to-the-touch technology that actually stays cool all night long, no matter your sleep style. Their award-winning pillows are customizable for side, back, stomach, or combo sleepers. Put an end to thermostat wars and stop flipping to the cool side of the pillow. Save the sweat for big presentations in the boardroom or pickup ball in the rec room. Visit coopsleepgoods.com/sports to get 20% off your first order. If you don't sleep cooler and better, return it risk-free with their 100-night sleep better guarantee. That's COOP sleepgoods.com/sports.
Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 70 of 2025. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on Twitter at OBKiev. Follow us at the Odds Breakers. Follow us on social media /the Odds Breakers. This episode is being brought to you by FanDuel Sports, a partner with the NFL. If you'd like to support the Odds Breakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com. Click shop and become a member. Pick any of our winning cappers to get their premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com. And if nothing else, please visit the Odds Breakers and become a free Picks and Telegram subscriber. Another week of football in the books, my friends, and a fun weekend. We did extremely well in college, up about 7.57 units. And NFL, another good day, up 8.68 units. As a matter of fact, college, we haven't lost since week one. You know, we've been up between 6 and 10 units every single week since week one. So I'm very happy about that, and kind of NFL's back on track. The only losses I had were my two totals, the Washington under and the Bears over. And the Bears over happened because of just how terrible the Cowboys are. That's why it didn't happen. Very, very frustrating with that. And, I figured the Bears are missing their whole secondary. Cowboys, can you score more than 14 points?
Unreal.
Man, it's just when it rains, it pours. I can't figure out this Cowboys team almost beating the Eagles, and then the way they performed the last few weeks, and then you obviously have the Eagles, who probably shouldn't have won against the Rams, especially that cover. And we'll get to that, and to the good, the bad, and the ugly segment here. But before the recap, I wanted to say, really sucks about what happened to Dave Sharapan. He ended up passing away from that cancer that he had. I believe it started out in his tongue, but I thought it was something simple and something he was going to get through. I noticed he wasn't at the panel and the contest weekend at the Circle like he always is. The Bostonian burst the book. He's on Sports Grid all the time. And then, we find this news out that he passed away last night, because I was gone in baseball tournaments during the morning hours, and, get back right to the TV. I didn't even really check Twitter, and I guess the tweet went out around noon my time. And I just want to say how bummed out I am because the man was a great dude, always willing to talk to you, a great podcaster, and just an amazing presence in people's lives. Family man, 3 girls, it looks like. It just really bums me out to see that. And I just want to say my condolences to Dave. And we are all heartbroken here in the sports betting industry because of it. And we'll be thinking about you all week long and for a long time to come, David. So thanks for being you and all those wonderful ways that you made us smile. My favorite is always nobody knows shit. And that's the truth. Coming into these seasons, everyone pretends to know something. Nobody knows shit. I freaking love that. Rest in peace, Dave Sherapan. All right, well, to the college, I mean, not a lot of massive top 25 upsets or anything, but there were some ugly ones. I mean, my Badgers, I don't know how the hell that spread went up to 10. I texted Brad Powers and Chris Felique. I'm like, dude, what is going on here? I mean, I know this Badger team because I'm a fan, and there's absolutely no way. That should have been a bigger bet on me on Maryland. I did definitely sprinkle the money line, which is always fun. But man, what a colossal disaster that's becoming over there in Big Ten country and for Badger fans. Illinois, Indiana wasn't even really a game. Indiana got punched in the mouth right away, and there's a couple things that went against them in the first quarter, but it just spun out of control. 21-3 getting outscored in the second quarter. Illinois proving themselves frauds. I still think they're solid in places. I just think they're just massively outcoached. Now they're going to be a 6.5-point dog against USC. I find that going to be a very interesting spread this week. You got to remember, nobody's as good as they were last week, and nobody's as bad as they were last week. So we'll be digging into that this week. Utah, Texas Tech, another blowout, but a road blowout. Texas Tech going and just giving it to them. Texas Tech, it was like 10-3, which in reach for Utah during the game, but then no score in the third quarter, and then 24-7 in the fourth. Utah just kind of crumbled at the end of the game. And I was trying to watch that in the iPad a little bit during the baseball tournament I was at, because both mornings I was there. But I was able to see some of that, as well as the SMU game against TCU, which I almost didn't cover that because of a straight robbery of the TCU guy was inbounds when he caught that, in my opinion. I think unless his shoe is wider than 6-7 inches, that was inbounds. Little shadow on there, but I could tell. It frustrates you because it was just an amazing play, but there was worse out there, obviously, last week. I should have mentioned Iowa-Rutgers. Rutgers just couldn't beat Iowa at home, and Iowa's offense actually looked somewhat real last couple weeks. So found that interesting. We'll see if they go back in regress. Michigan versus Nebraska. I felt Nebraska kind of gave that game away, although from a box score standpoint, they were outgained in yards. It wasn't like they were the better team. Michigan looked the better team, better talent, it looked like. As a whole, there's pieces on Nebraska's team, but Raiola wasn't as good as he needed to be. He needs to be better. I think he's a little too overhyped. And, I just was hoping Nebraska was going to win. It was one of my few losses on Saturday. It just didn't come through, and Michigan, Big Blue, is still in it. Vanderbilt just wiped Georgia State by 49 points, and that was their revenge spot. That's why I wanted to stay away from that. There's a couple things I thought could have happened. I thought Georgia State could have thought they could have played with them, and Vanderbilt still had a revenge spot, possibly in a letdown spot after beating South Carolina. But 4-0 to Vandy. We took over 5.5, and now they have Utah State on deck, which I also think is a very dangerous game. But we'll see what happens when that comes up.
Do you ever scroll through social media only to find yourself bombarded by bad news, worse comments, hot takes, picture-perfect families, and yet another humbling professional update? It's hard not to get wrapped up in how everyone else is doing. But imagine how you'd feel if you spent just 45 minutes focused on how you're doing. At Cerebral, we make it easier than ever to access dedicated therapists and doctor-prescribed medication personalized to you. And the best part? Cerebral offers in-network care, so you can focus on feeling better without worrying about the cost. In fact, 72% of people say they felt better in just 12 weeks. So take the first step today. Visit Cerebral.com/podcast to see how affordable and accessible mental health care can be with insurance.
Sleeping hot and sweaty, tossing and turning all night is like being on a team that never has home field advantage. You're losing before the day even begins. It's time to reverse the curse and solve your sweaty sleep problems with Coop Sleep Goods. Their entire cooling collection, including pillows, sheets, and more, is equipped with cool-to-the-touch technology that actually stays cool all night long, no matter your sleep style. Their award-winning pillows are customizable for side, back, stomach, or combo sleepers. Put an end to thermostat wars and stop flipping to the cool side of the pillow. Save the sweat for big presentations in the boardroom or pickup ball in the rec room. Visit CoopSleepGoods.com/sports to get 20% off your first order. If you don't sleep cooler and better, return it risk-free with their 100-night sleep better guarantee. That's COOP sleepgoods.com/sports. If you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or personal loans, help is here. More and more Americans turn to credit cards to get by. National Debt Relief is helping qualified clients reduce what they owe. For many, continuing to struggle making minimum monthly payments could take years to pay off. National Debt Relief has already helped over 550,000 Americans reduce their debt by negotiating directly with their creditors. When you call, you'll be amazed at how much you can save and how quickly you can become debt-free. If you want off the debt treadmill, visit nationaldebtrelief.com today. You don't need to declare bankruptcy, and you may qualify for significant debt relief. To find out what savings you may qualify for, simply visit nationaldebtrelief.com. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
Thanks for selling your car to Carvana. Here's your check.
Whoa, when did I get here?
What do you mean?
I swear it was just moments ago that I accepted a great offer from Carvana online. I must have time traveled to the future.
It was just moments ago. We do same-day pickup. Here's your check for that great offer.
It is the future.
It's the present and just the convenience of Carvana. Sorry to blow your mind.
It's all good. Happens all the time.
Sell your car the convenient way to
Carvana.
Pickup times may vary and fees may apply.
Missouri beat South Carolina by 9, depending upon what number you had. We had 9.5, thank goodness. And numbers matter because Purdue, Notre Dame, they won by 26. And for a long time, that was 27.5. Went down to 26.5, and then it closed at 24.5. That was a books got middle potential if people took 24.5. I don't think too many people would have unless it was 24. But still one of those weird situations. We had a nice backdoor from Michigan State to end the night for the late night game as well, which helped out. So I think that was the biggest games of the weekend we covered. We covered the two Big Ten ones. Not too many big matches in the SEC last week. Let's move on to the NFL. I mean, NFL is the NFL. A very tough to predict system. I thank God I did well this week on sides. I was shocked all this money coming on the Texans. I'm like, what numbers say that? What are you just kind of going from last year? That offensive line is freaking awful. There's no number that said that. I actually bet the Jags, but I did get scared off of putting them in the contest because everybody I expected was on the Texans, and I just didn't get it. And I was like, man, I should just keep it, but I didn't. Mistake for me, although I still have one pending. That when I switched them out was for the Monday night game tonight, so we have that pending with the Ravens. We'll see what happens. Another game was the night game. Kansas City took care of business against the Giants, and the Giants obviously aren't as good as you think they are because that Cowboys team is terrible that they almost beat. And then they go home and lose by double digits. You know, that's just how things are. The biggest upsets were the Browns against the Packers, and we were on the Browns. I was when it was 10-0. I thought there was a chance we're not covering this. The Browns ain't scoring. Then all of a sudden, Browns scored 13 points, blocked field goal. Got in eventually got in the end zone. How about that? The Browns just pull ahead at the end and just shock the shit out of the Packers. Losing 10-0, you're not going to cover, and then a money line sprinkle comes in. That was amazing. The Colts was an easy survivor play from me. That was the only really good survivor road that won out of Atlanta, the Packers, and the Browns. Colts are for real, I think, at least from an offensive perspective. How about the Falcons getting shut out 30-0? That's what I'm saying about these good quarterbacks, bad coaches, and bad coaches, good quarterbacks. It's just tough to figure these teams out and know when to bet them. Raheem Morris is such a terrible coach. It's just the way it is. Chargers Broncos could have finished either way, but the coach ends up winning. The better coach, Jim Harbaugh. I always say bet coaches. And sometimes I don't listen to myself, and I just stayed away from that game because Chargers were in a short week. But here we are again, them covering. The Cardinals got absolutely raped by the officials in that pass interference on the third down. That just gave the Niners the field goal win. I was pissed about that, and I think they should be pissed too. Hopefully they write into the league. I'm hoping all these teams do that get screwed at the end of their games. Rams, Eagles. Oh, there's a bad beat in there. That's for our next segment. Chargers, already mentioned that. Seahawks just completely took care of business against the Saints. And what sucked for Survivor players is the Seahawks was a great place to use them. It was the only place to use them. And I was hoping they would lose. But here's the thing. I don't think I have to use them anyway. I just need to use 20 out of the 12 teams when it comes to the circle one. So not like I have to use you guys. I do have to get dirty eventually. But this one, they got through, and Buffalo really had some trouble. Actually, that score was tied, by the way, at the end. And the Tampa Bay Bucks almost lost to the Jets. They had that field goal block touchdown return too. So I thought that was crazy, but you knew there was too much time for Baker Mayfield. At least I did. Jeez, how would you not know that? It was fun to see, but our Jets covered for that. And they scored 6 points the whole game and 21 points at the end of the fourth quarter. How the hell did that happen? I'm shocked we were able to cover that game, and I was pretty happy about it. But that was just one of those where you don't want to bet the Jets again. The Steelers probably should have lost to the Patriots. It was a massive misleading final score on that. And the Vikings, battle of the backup quarterbacks, came and went. 14 for 20, 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. But that was more about the Vikings' special teams and the kick returners and all that stuff. That brings us to our next segment. The good, the bad, and the ugly of the weekend. And there is plenty to go around as usual. How about Iowa's 38 points? Starting with the good, of course. That was, it was at Rutgers, of course. Nothing too special, I guess you can think there. But still, it's Iowa. They're not supposed to score 38 freaking points. And whoever's on the under got smoked on that. North Texas. They're a for real team for their little conference there. But, they're going to hiccups one of these days. But I was happy to get that overtime win at Army. So bravo to you, North Texas, for cashing my ticket. TCU. They might be the best team in the Big 12. They might be it. Texas Tech, they might be it too. But you got ASU there. Baylor, even after a hiccup, is kind of in this thing. Utah might still be it. I mean, the Big 12 is a total mess up top, and it's just going to be fun to watch. At least even Iowa State, right? But Kansas State's completely out of that thing. Vanderbilt just taking care of business, winning by 50 points. That's a good thing. Pavia, good quarterback there. How about Kirk Cignetti? Coach of the week, man. Oh, just an absolute dumping of Illinois. And that quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, they got from Cal, holy smokes, is he good? That he just works out perfect. I think this Indiana team's better than last year's now. It took me a while to warm back up to them. I was happy with what they cashed for me last year, but Jesus. The Chargers and the coach, Jim Harbaugh, Chargers, how are they not good? And then NFL field goal and punt blocks were all over the place. Special teams returns. I thought that was a lot of fun last week, looking at all that. Now for the bad. Tua Tagovailoa's interception when you're driving to maybe win that game and you throw that interception. What are you doing? That's just horrible. But you can also say the roughing the kicker on the Dolphins, and I guess that was at least running into the kicker, but don't try to block a punt when you're tied away. That's just more bad coaching from Mike McDaniels. Why do you do that? That is a no-no. There's certain times to get up at the punter. Don't try to block it then. Luke Fickell, real bad. I don't know how his contract buyout is a massive mess, and I feel that the Badgers AD Chris McIntosh is a hell of a lot like Ryan Poles on the Bears. Two idiots that extend like the worst people. The Arkansas losing to Memphis, that was fun for us. We had Memphis +7, but geez, they lost outright. Another good money line sprinkle coming in. Bad for the SEC. Buffalo choke. That was rough for Buffalo losing to Troy like that. How the hell did Troy score that many points with a backup quarterback? That was absolutely unreal. Thank God we still hit the under in that game. And this is real bad, almost ugly. South Alabama losing to Coastal Carolina. What? What happened there, South Alabama? You didn't lose. You just got your ass kicked by one of the worst teams in the league at home. Oh, my God. Raheem Morris, terrible NFL coach, awful coach. He it definitely makes my bad of the weekend blown out, shut out by the freaking Panthers. The Packers away from home. The Packers away from home are bad from those nice little yellow handkerchief comforts of your home. That proved wrong, Packers. That proved right, that you are bad away from home. People who thought the Jets were going to win, it makes the bad. Of course they flipped the score, but they ain't going to beat them. They're the Jets. How about the 49ers Hussey flag to ice the game for the Niners? That was Hussey over 60% home ATS. He loved making that call. You saw in his face how excited he was. Now for the ugly. Mike Gundy losing to Tulsa. Did he get fired yet? Yeah. First of all, how does he not get fired? I think his buyout isn't even bad. That is just absolutely unreal. I'm not saying he's fired. Clemson losing to Syracuse at home in a massive get-up spot. Dabo. I'll tell you this, as a Wisconsin fan, I would love Dabo Swinney. I think he would get along with a lot of people there, but I love Dabo Swinney. Oklahoma refs and their 17-point home advantage. They should have lost outright to Auburn instead of covering with that gross safety. And that gross safety makes the over two. You got +6, +6.5. Thank God I had +7. And that's why numbers matter. And I pushed instead. But geez, most people everyone in the contest had +6.5 at the Westgate. What a shit show. The Oklahoma refs just gave them. They were just pitiful, awful. And probably won't do nothing about it because that's our lives. Toledo losing to Western Michigan University. Toledo, that was a hiccup for you. And just a Jason Candle type situation. Toledo losing to them after how powerful Toledo looked all year. The Baylor, sorry, but there's just some bad officials. The refs for Baylor, the guy gets called for roughing. The guy, when he's kind of in the air trying to jump at the guy, and he doesn't have his helmet down, he's just jumping to make a tackle. The receiver quickly goes down, and he just glazes him with his face mask, and they call him roughing. That iced the game for ASU. This is you can tell that these people never played the game of football. And then finally, the most ugliest thing of the weekend: that Eagles field goal block not even changes the outcome of the game, but they run it back to score a touchdown for the worst bad beat in NFL for the whole entire weekend.
Well, Blondie, so long.
All right, now it's time for a little college football week 4 misleading final scores. And plenty to go around here. We have Rutgers outgaining Iowa 400 to 346, yet lost 38-28, a 1-0 turnover ratio, and a poor red zone got the Sunge. Got the State University of New Jersey, as Chris likes to say. NC State outgained Duke 535 to 418, yet lost 45 to 33, a 4-0 turnover ratio. Roughed up the Wolfpack. South Alabama outgained Coastal Carolina 420 to 294, yet lost 38 to 20. Horrible 3-0 turnover ratio. Poor special teams in red zone got the Jaguars. Nevada outgained Western Kentucky 361 to 372. Got that backwards. Yet lost 31 to 16. A 3-2 turnover ratio and poor red zone got the Wolfpack. East Carolina was only outgained 418 to 404, yet lost 34-13. A 2-0 turnover ratio and bad fourth down efficiency got the Pirates. Should have been a closer game against BYU. Had a personal play on that I lost. Southern Miss outgained Louisiana Tech 514 to 340, yet lost 30-20. A 1-0 turnover ratio and poor fourth down efficiency and bad red zone got the Golden Eagles. And UTEP outgained Louisiana Monroe 442 to 399, yet lost 31-25. A 2-0 turnover ratio, poor fourth down, killed the Miners. College football week 5 betting spots. Letdown spots. Memphis at FAU after beating Arkansas is one for sure. Tulsa hosting Tulane after beating Oklahoma State. So bad. Texas A&M hosting Auburn. After the Notre Dame win, they do have a bye, but maybe they're still happy about that. Get up spots. Tulane at Tulsa after getting SEC'd. Utah at West Virginia will be looking for integrity. Auburn at Texas A&M is big. UCLA at Northwestern with the coach fired angle. See, UCLA, that's a coach fired angle we have to look at every week. Look ahead spots. Boise State looking past App State to Notre Dame is real. Vanderbilt looking past Utah State to Alabama is big. Florida State looking past Virginia to Miami is huge. And that's all I have for look ahead right now. I usually add some when I find them before this article comes out. So check out the articles at theoddsbreakers.com. Short rest. Oregon State hosting Houston on 6 days rest. And then Houston at Oregon State for long rest because Houston is coming off a bye. And there's a lot of bye spots here and long rest spots. Wake Forest after the bye hosting Georgia Tech. UMass after the bye at Missouri. Texas A&M after the bye hosting Auburn. Pitt after the bye hosting Louisville. Penn State after the bye hosting Oregon. Big game there, huh? Old Dominion after the bye hosting Liberty. Ohio State after the bye at Washington. Navy after the bye hosting Rice. Minnesota after the bye hosting Rutgers. Kentucky after the bye at South Carolina. Kansas State after the bye hosting UCF. FAU after the bye hosting Memphis. Cincinnati after the bye at Kansas. Boston College after the bye hosting Cal. And App State after the bye hosting Boise State. We have Tulsa with an extra day of rest hosting Tulane. Oklahoma State with an extra day hosting Baylor. Rutgers with an extra day at Minnesota. And Iowa with an extra day hosting Indiana. Brings us to NFL Week 3 misleading final scores. The Falcons outgained the Panthers 332 to 224, yet lost 30-0. A 3-1 turnover ratio, bad fourth down, and terrible coaching got the Dirty Birds. The Rams outgained the Eagles 356 to 288, yet lost 33-26. A spread stealing block field goal TD return got the Shams. The Patriots outgained the Steelers 369 to 203, yet lost 21-14. A horrible 5-1 turnover ratio got the Pats. 2 of them were in the end zone. I had to downgrade the Steelers and upgrade the Pats after this game. The Seahawks only outgained the Saints 320 to 284, yet won 44-13. Equal turnovers, but horrible red zone and special teams for the Saints. Really got the Saints. And the Cowboys outgained the Bears 396 to 385. It was just kind of one of those, a lot of cheap yards though, but it's still, the Dak Prescott's 4-0 turnover ratio really made this game completely out of hand. NFL Week 4 betting spots, letdown spots. The Browns could be flat at the Lions after beating the Packers, and the Panthers could hiccup at the Patriots after beating Atlanta. Get up spots. The Rams will want to emerge hosting the Colts after that rough beat. And look ahead spots. The 49ers could look past the Jaguars to the Rams. Really is my only look ahead spot here. Being that the Cowboys and the Packers both lost, those are really get up spots for both. I guess I'll add another get up spot here. The Falcons probably could emerge hosting the Commanders after that bad Panthers loss. So we'll see who's quarterbacking for the Commanders, right? Short week is Ravens at Chiefs after the Monday night game and the Lions hosting the Browns after the Monday night game. And the long week is the Bills hosting the Saints after Thursday night and the Dolphins hosting the Jets after Thursday night, but they move all the way to Monday Night Football themselves. All right, now it's time to give you my free play. We have to make sure these lines have not moved because some of them move after I bet college football, after we bet college football. Whew. Let's see here. I'm not going to give you this one. It's too premium-y right now. This one's better for the actual Wednesday night show because remember, we only have a Wednesday night show. Wednesday during the day and then Thursday morning show covering both the NFL as I'll be in Rocky Point. So I'm just unable to do two shows this week. Maybe I'll do a Friday one into Saturday, just kind of looking at the lines. But Mississippi State is what we're going to give you here. What's this at? 7.5. Okay, we got a better number at 9.5, but I like it. Mississippi State's hosting Tennessee. Tennessee on the road still hasn't really been checked all that well because they haven't played any big teams on the road, right? I think that's the key thing. Mississippi State's a much better team than they have been. If you look at Mississippi State, they are beating a lot of teams. Now, they didn't play anybody, I guess you can say. Arizona State. Well, yeah, they did. They played Arizona State. Mississippi State actually 6.75 yards per play on offense, only 4.28 yards per play on defense. They're running the ball well at 5.29 yards per rush. Now, Tennessee has very similar numbers, but their defense seems a little bit weaker now. Yes, they played Georgia, and I guess you can say Syracuse, but I mean, this is a bad Syracuse team. They also played East Tennessee State and UAB. I don't know what to say about that. Syracuse was a neutral. This is their first true road test here. Mississippi State, a much better team than they were last year, a better coach team than they were last year, and I think they're still embarrassed and hungry and trying to check a few boxes right here via power ratings. I don't have this thing nearly what it is. I have Tennessee 3.5. Not anything close to 7. So I think this is just a great situation to jump on a nice SEC home dog past the 7 here. We're going to do that for 2 stars.
Do you ever scroll through social media only to find yourself bombarded by bad news, worse comments, hot takes, picture-perfect families, and yet another humbling professional update? It's hard not to get wrapped up in how everyone else is doing. But imagine how you'd feel if you spent just 45 minutes focused on how you're doing. At Cerebral, we make it easier than ever to access dedicated therapists and doctor-prescribed medication personalized to you. And the best part? Cerebral offers in-network care, so you can focus on feeling better without worrying about the cost. In fact, 72% of people say they felt better in just 12 weeks. So take the first step today. Visit Cerebral.com/podcast to see how affordable and accessible mental health care can be with insurance.
Sleeping hot and sweaty, tossing and turning all night is like being on a team that never has home field advantage. You're losing before the day even begins. It's time to reverse the curse and solve your sweaty sleep problems with Coop Sleep Goods. Their entire cooling collection, including pillows, sheets, and more, is equipped with cool-to-the-touch technology that actually stays cool all night long, no matter your sleep style. Their award-winning pillows are customizable for side, back, stomach, or combo sleepers. Put an end to thermostat wars and stop flipping to the cool side of the pillow. Save the sweat for big presentations in the boardroom or pickup ball in the rec room. Visit CoopSleepGoods.com/sports to get 20% off your first order. If you don't sleep cooler and better, return it risk-free with their 100-night sleep better guarantee. That's COOP sleepgoods.com/sports. Confronting high credit card debt can feel scary. But the good news is, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, financial relief options are now available. National Debt Relief is currently offering debt relief designed to reduce what you owe, fast-tracking your way to being debt-free. If you qualify for debt relief, you may be able to pay back significantly less than what you owe and save thousands of dollars. Imagine only paying one low monthly program payment you can afford and saving money as you become debt-free. National Debt Relief has already helped bring debt relief to over 550,000 U.S. consumers, earning thousands of 5-star reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're stronger than your credit card debt. Take the first step and visit nationaldebtrelief.com to see what debt relief you qualify for. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
Buying a car in Carvana was so easy. I was able to finance it through them.
Whoa, wait, you mean finance?
Yeah, finance. Got pre-qualified for a Carvana auto loan, entered my terms, and shot from thousands of great car options, all within my budget.
That's cool, but financing through Carvana was so easy.
Financed. Done. And I get to pick up my car from their Carvana vending machine tomorrow.
Financed.
Right, that's what I said.
You can spend time trying to pronounce financing, or you can actually finance and buy your car today on
Carvana.
Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
The thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
All right, my friends. Well, there you have it. Now let's move into our next segment, a little fantasy football. Week 4 with our guy, D Nasty. All right, it's time for a little fantasy football. Week 4. D Nasty's back. Dave, how is it going this week?
A little rough this week. Kiev, some big injuries in the NFL this week. The Packers lost. They pissed away the game against the Browns. Can't believe they even lost. But some other good games going on this week, though. Good Monday Night Football game going on right now. Fun game to watch. High scoring. 2 great teams going at it. So some good football this past week, except for the Packer game, that is.
Packer game was great. Fantastic choke. 10-0, and I thought I wasn't even going to cover my plus 8.5, and then they went outright and destroyed about 10% of survivors out there. So I thought that was cool. People trying to save, Buffalo and, some of the big teams. And you just think, Packers should win and the Browns. I personally would have picked a different spot for the Packers. I don't know why people did that, but it wasn't as bad as the Falcons losing to the Panthers by 30 points at home. Or no, that was away.
Oh, yeah. It was away. I couldn't believe that game either.
That was crazy. Just absolutely. Oh, there goes Montgomery. Oh, man. Almost. Oh, down to the 15. What a run. Man, the Ravens' run defense just getting pounded today.
They are.
Woo! Well, that's how we have it. Let's get into some fantasy football, Dave. Key injuries, my man. I got a few, and then you can kind of fill in the cracks here. Najee Harris clearly out for the season with the torn Achilles, and we had 2 running backs that messed up their Achilles. What's up with the Achilles injuries this year, Dave? Because we just saw it happen to Eckler. Now it's Najee Harris and James Conner, 2 massive starters in your fantasy football.
Well, James Conner was an ankle, actually. But, yeah, the Achilles injuries for the running backs aren't an uncommon thing with them cutting so much, and the turf too. Sometimes that plays a role in it as well. But, yeah, definitely a surprise with how many injuries, big injuries that we've had so far this season already, even with the quarterbacks too.
I'm pretty sure James Conner was an Achilles. I'll double check that. But ankle is part of the Achilles, obviously. Really, really crappy that that happened. And, it's just it's weird because it's tough when you're not handcuffing players in fantasy football. We say it all the time. If you have injuries, if you have a bench, I'd rather have a handcuff in there than some, journeyman guy that's going to give you 8 points a game, right? It's like, what's the use of that? It's not helping you win anything, right? So that's tough. Maybe it is just an ankle, but he's out in it says ankle surgery for sure, and so he's definitely out. And it must have been just something else in it, and that's sad. But there's also other injuries, a few bad ones, and CeeDee Lamb's out a few weeks with a high ankle sprain himself. Tyrone Tracy, the running back for the Giants, dislocated his shoulder. That's good for a few guys we'll mention later. Mike Evans had a hammy for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Terry McLaurin had a quad injury for the Washington Commies. And that's all I have, but I want you guys to keep in mind suspensions are now over for Demarcus Robinson of the Niners, who's dying for receivers there, and wide receiver Jordan Addison for the Vikings, Dave.
And Taj Spears might be back in a week, too, so a speculative ad for him, too. So he was on injured reserve, so he can technically come back next week, and they said he's pretty close to coming back. Another one on the injury front, Brock Purdy. He was questionable this past week, so he wasn't just ruled out right away. So the small chance, but there's a chance he comes back this week. Just keep an eye on that. But they probably still hold him out this week, I think. But definitely keep an eye on Purdy because he was questionable the last couple of days of the week last week on the injury report. So another one he can come back. Mike Evans, hamstring injury. We'll get into who can replace for that. Nick Bosa out for the year with another Achilles. So on the Achilles front, another one that was a shocker. So IDP leagues, that's a huge loss. Nick Bosa going out as well. And then one other one too is Samarji Perine, who actually with Chase Brown struggling, he left with a thumb injury, but he could probably play this week though. But those are the biggest ones for sure.
All right, well there we go. Let's get to our waiver wire, Dave. Who are we picking up?
Well, there's a couple quarterbacks out there that I like, just because there's a bit. Russell Wilson's been struggling. He had one good week out of these first 3 weeks, and then Michael Penix has actually been struggling as well. So speculative ads, if you have a bench spot open, definitely add Kirk Cousins. He's barely owned in any leagues right now. Jackson Dart, he's not owned in many leagues as well. So just a speculative ad if 2 quarterback leagues, or if you need some depth on your bench, I'd definitely add them as a speculative ad right now, because they could be huge down the road here if they do start for those 2 teams. A couple guys I like too that we talked about last week. I'm just going to go quickly through these just because they have great matchups, and they're playing some of the worst pass defenses this week. And Geno Smith, he had a huge week this past week. He's playing the Chicago Bears, who have the 32nd ranked defense versus quarterbacks. Love that matchup. Carson Wentz, who we talked about last week as well, he's playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who actually, surprisingly, are only 28th against the pass. So I like that matchup too. And then Tua, who actually, a lot of people weren't really drafting that high this year. He's actually had a couple of good weeks in a row now. And he's playing against the New York Jets, who actually have the 25th ranked pass defense. So a couple of guys I like over there. And Bryce Young, 19th ranked pass defense, but he's actually been playing solidly the last couple of weeks too. A lot of people, he's probably on a lot of people's radars too. And he is owning quite a few leagues as well. The running back wise, Taj Brooks, I like him. He could get more carries going forward for Chase Brown, who's been struggling mightily this year. He might be one of the biggest busts so far this year. So definitely edging Taj Brooks. Woody Marks, who's actually been moving up too. He's been taking a lot of carries away from Nick Chubb those last couple weeks, and he's seen his carries and his percentage of plays that he's played and snap count increasing every week as well. So definitely adding him. Chris Rodriguez Jr., that Washington Commanders backfield is just a mess right now. But Chris Rodriguez actually had a nice week this past week. So I'd definitely add him. And Ollie Gordon had a TD and quite a few carries this past week, and he looked good too this past week. So some young running backs who are moving up the ranks right now. And then one of my favorites, Braylon Allen, he actually had a good week this past week. One of his best games was 6 carries for 30 yards and 2 catches for 17 yards. So they'll be giving him some more snaps too as well and carries. So keep an eye on those guys. Those are the guys that just add to your bench going forward that you might like. And then a couple of receivers that I really like. We talked about Alec Inamar last week, but he had another good week this past week. So if he's still out there, definitely top up to 5% I would spend on the free agent budget to get him. He's got 8 catches for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns and 11 targets over the past couple weeks. So definitely their go-to guy there. Trey Tucker, huge game this past week. 8 catches, 145 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I started in one of my dynasty leagues, and I crushed everybody because I started him.
Oh, my God, you started
great
him.
Game.
Nice.
Yes.
I have him. I have him in a dynasty league in Shooties, and I wish I did start him, but I still won.
Yeah, so huge game. And it's not just a fluke either, because if you look at his catches and targets the past couple weeks, they've been increasing every week since week 1. So he's definitely moving up, and he's definitely probably 1B right now to Jacoby Myers. So definitely adding him. Guy that Kiev's going to like that I'm going to talk about right now, Luther Burden III. On that flea flicker that they almost threw over Caleb's head.
That was funny.
Awesome play. Luther looked pretty good. That wasn't the only big play he had. He had some other nice catches as well. So definitely like him. That young guy to add. And then 2 other guys. Torrey Horton for the Seahawks has been playing well the last couple of weeks. He's almost like their number 2. He's kind of taken over Cooper Kupp's actually role there.
I think
so. Definitely keep an eye on him. Nice young receiver. And Tyquan Thornton, I like him actually too for the Chiefs. He had a touchdown this past week again. Rice is going to come back here in a couple weeks, but definitely keep an eye on him. And then Kevontae Turpin with the CeeDee Lamb injury, definitely picking him up as he could be the number 2 there now. And then Brandon Ayuk, he's going to be making his season debut here, probably week 6. So that's another guy I forgot to mention before with the injuries. But Ayuk is on track to be back week 6. So a speculative ad right now for him as well.
Well, throw him on your IR, and then you can pick up another guy. So yeah, I agree with all that. Trey Benson, obviously for the Connor injury is the biggest, but Emari DeMarcado for the Benson injury or for the Connor injury is massive too. I mean, I assume Benson's owned, but if he's not, God, put some money on that one, right? He's going to be the lead back in the bell cow for the Cardinals. And DeMarcado will get some passes. He didn't do great last week, though. I seen him drop a few, so I didn't like that. But probably a speculative ad for DeMarcado as well. Hassan Haskins, dude, he's going to be the guy behind Hampton now, Marion Hampton. And I think that Najee Harris injury is going to really boost his stock up. So it's almost like he's switching place with Najee, and maybe he gets a little less than Najee did, but it's still big, especially if Hampton gets injured. He'll be massive on a really good team with a great coach.
After Harris went on, Hampton exploded. Actually, he had one of his best games of the year. So, all those Hampton owners definitely plug in Hampton going forward, and Scatterboo too. Scatterboo looked awesome this week after replacing Tracy. So those two are both must starts going forward.
And I would have put Cam Scatterboo down, but I'm sure he's mostly owned. I mean, I owned him.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't mention Trey Benson either, because he's owned in most of my leagues, and he's probably owned it over 50% of leagues.
Yeah,
because he was a hot guy after this first week when he had a great week.
I mentioned him just in case, but Hassan Haskins for sure he is not owned. So
definitely.
So grab Haskins. Devin Singletary too for the Tyrone Tracy injury is going to be behind Scatterboo, so keep that in mind as well. Devin Singletary. Jalen Tolbert we'll get more targets too because CeeDee Lamb's hurt. So think about Jalen Tolbert. Jackson Dart. Russ is not looking good right now, and I think it's time to make a switch because that coach right there, he's out anyway if he doesn't do something. And Russ is just not the guy that's going to lead you to the promised land. He was terrible in the red zone yesterday, and it was just he just looked lost. And we need a change there. I think Jackson Dart's ready to take over. So I think Jackson Dart's a wonderful speculative ad.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson's only good game came against the Cowboys, who have one of the worst pass defenses in the league, and they made Caleb Williams look like
Hall of Famer. He made Williams look like a Hall of Famer.
He look like a Hall of Famer.
Well, we used Caleb last week in our waivers and our non-starter sleepers trending up, and our freaking Danny Dimes, our nasty sleeper. We both had the same one last week. He freaking smoked it last week again. So that was a nice little hit on us, little pat on the back. Trey Tucker, like I said, man, I'm starting to think maybe he's a starter. I don't think Jacoby Myers is the guy.
Agreed. I think he's definitely taking over the number one spot almost, I think, there now.
Yeah. George Pickens off if he's available, but he's probably owned. Jeremy McNichols. He had only 3 carries, but one of them he went off on. Explosive play, got a touchdown, 78 some yards. So I think Jeremy McNichols, even though Chris Rodriguez had the most carries, I'm curious how that's going to go for the rest of the season. Rico Dowdle for the Panthers had 10 carries, which was interesting. And Ollie Gordon for the Dolphins really had 9 carries. So there's some leagues like our Yahoo League, Dave, that those guys are out there on.
Definitely, yeah.
Moves us to sleepers / non-starters trending up for week 4. Trey Benson for sure. I mean, even though he was owned, now it's time to start him. Hassan Haskins for the Chargers. It's Cam Scatterboo, baby. He is your guy going forward for the Giants, even if our boy comes back. He is definitely going to take over, and I think Tyrone Tracy might have lost his job. Hassan Haskins, yeah, I think he can be good because he's going to pick up a lot of garbage yards against the Giants, and they might baby Marion Hampton against the easier team here. I can see Hassan Haskins be a DFS play or something like that, or a deeper league play, right? Braylon Allen, both of us like Braylon Allen. They're playing Miami. Why not? You gotta play Braylon Allen against Miami. Patrick Mahomes. Oh, people start Patrick Mahomes these days, Dave. And that's just been one of those weird, teams. It's more defensive now. I think he's going to be big against the Ravens. If you've been watching this Ravens defense just collapse against the Lions today, holy cow! Jordan Love. He's playing the Cowboys. Jordan Love. If you got like Jordan Love and you have. Let's just say a guy like even Justin Herbert. I think I would start Jordan Love, man. I mean, against the Cowboys, you have to start that guy, man. Cowboys are just so bad against the pass.
Eberflus is not a good defensive coordinator. He's not a good coach at all. Bears are lucky that he's gone.
It just shows how incompetent the Bears are, really. Cooper, I'm going to give Cooper Kupp one last chance here on a non-starter trending up. You better do something against the Cardinals Capitals. You are in my shit list. Matthew Golden and Romeo Dobbs against Dallas too. By the way, I didn't mention Quentin Johnson against the against the Giants. I like Quentin Johnson. I think he's going to put up some big yards against the Giants for the Chargers. Quarterback Bryce Young against the Patriots is an okay start this week. Even Tua Tagovailoa against the Jets is huge, and same with Jalen Waddle against the Jets. I think he's going to get plenty of touches himself, so he moves into my non-starter trending up. Dave, who are yours?
Yeah, I had a lot of the same ones that you did. I do like Trey Benson, like you said. I like Carson Wentz against the Steelers. Steelers secondary has not been playing well. Like I said before, too, like Mariota against the Falcons. That the Commanders' backfield is just a mess right now, so I'm not touching any of those running backs. Bills, I like Ray Davis, and I like the receivers there too against the Saints. I think Shakir or Coleman could definitely break out this week against the Saints. I'm looking for one of those two guys to have a big week against the poor Saints defense. I like Bryce Young as well. I think Chuba, who's already started already, but I like Bryce Young though, definitely there. I think Ladd McConkey actually has been struggling. He's a guy that's kind of been a bust so far. I like Quentin Johnson. He's actually been moving up the charts. He's probably a must start now too as well. I like him against the Giants. Giants defense has
I think that defenses have figured out Ladd a little bit. They're like, okay, they're going to Ladd too much. Let's shut him down, and it's kind of opening up some other opportunities. So, Ladd McConkey's always that white guy under the freaking under the radar dude, right?
Exactly. And I like Travis Etienne against the 49ers with Bosa out. That's a huge loss for them. Pass rush wise and run wise, he's good at both. So I definitely like that. Tyquan Thornton, who we talked about, I like him against the Ravens. Their pass D doesn't look good tonight and hasn't all year. So I like Pat Mahomes as well too. Definitely like that. I like Geno Smith a lot and Trey Tucker. Like we're talking him up quite a bit tonight, but I like him a lot. I like the Raiders against the poor Bears D. I hate to say it, Kiev, but Bears D is not good right now against the pass. So definitely like Geno this week. I like that matchup for him.
Careful for what you wish for, Mr. Raider.
I do agree. The Cowboys defense has been looking at every quarterback that's played against them look like Hall of Famers and all pros. So I think Love bounces back this week, has a great game. I do like Wicks. Golden actually had some nice catches last week, and they're actually designing some plays for him last week on some sweeps and stuff too. I think Golden, this could be his breakout game actually this week. I like Wicks too. And then Dobbs is always usually pretty solid, but I definitely like Golden. I think they're going to try and feed him a little bit more. I like Ollie Gordon too against the Jets. I think Tyrod Taylor actually could have a good week too. He played solidly last week. He kept them in that game. They definitely could have won that game with him. So
well, they got lucky. They shouldn't even been in the game. That field goal block touchdown, just like this been happening now. All these teams. I don't know if you saw.
We didn't even talk about that.
The Rams
5 blocked field goals this past week, which is crazy. So this is just craziness in the NFL. One against the Packers, the Philadelphia Eagles blocked one. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had one.
And not one leverage call, Dave. Somehow, not one leverage call like they did the Broncos.
Yeah, so they're definitely a crazy week in the NFL with blocked field goals. So that was definitely a crazy week. I like Jake Browning actually against the Broncos this week. I know he struggled last week against a good defense, but I think he bounces back this week and can have a good game. But I'm not touching the Bengals backfield though, because Chase Brown with him struggling, Perrine could be a speculative ad, or Taj Brooks, but that backfield is just a mess right now for the Bengals.
Yeah, that backfield is not. The problem is the Bengals' offensive line's bad and their defense is terrible. So if they play a team that has somewhat of a pass rush, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. I don't know, man. I think that Browning's better at home, but one of those situations. How about your bus? Who are your bus?
Yeah, bus. I don't like the Cowboys this week against the Packers, actually. I'm downgrading Pickens. Pickens didn't look like a number one when Lamb went out. I don't like him against the tough Packers. Even the Packers only gave up 10 points really that whole game, and their defense was playing well. Well, they didn't give up any points until the last 5 minutes of that game. So that was due to errors on the offense's part and the special teams. So I definitely downgrading the Cowboys this week. I don't like them. Jalen Williams, I don't think he has a good week either this week against that tough D. I'm downgrading the Buccaneers, the Eagles D is legit. So I'm definitely downgrading Mike Evans if he plays because he's still banged up. And Baker Mayfield, I'm downgrading him against that Eagles D. You can still start him, but I'm just saying I don't like him as much. He's definitely trending down against a good Eagles defense. I don't like that. I do not like Russell Wilson against the Chargers. Chargers D has actually been pretty good this year. I don't like Russell Wilson this week or Jackson Dart, like we were saying, if he ends up coming into play as well. I don't like those matchups there. Lions, they played well this past week. I still like the Lions, though, against the Cleveland D, but I'm just downgrading them a little bit. They're just trending down a little bit against the tough Browns defense because they did look good. I think the Lions play a lot better than the Packers did against them, though. So still starting all those Lions, though, but just downgrading them just a tad against them. Saints, don't like them against the Bills. Kamara, downgrading him, and Spencer Rattler, definitely downgrading them against that tough D. And that's about it.
Do you ever scroll through social media only to find yourself bombarded by bad news, worse comments, hot takes, picture-perfect families, and yet another humbling professional update? It's hard not to get wrapped up in how everyone else is doing. But imagine how you'd feel if you spent just 45 minutes focused on how you're doing. At Cerebral, we make it easier than ever to access dedicated therapists and doctor-prescribed medication personalized to you. And the best part? Cerebral offers in-network care, so you can focus on feeling better without worrying about the cost. In fact, 72% of people say they felt better in just 12 weeks. So take the first step today. Visit Cerebral.com/podcast to see how affordable and accessible mental health care can be with insurance.
Sleeping hot and sweaty, tossing and turning all night is like being on a team that never has home field advantage. You're losing before the day even begins. It's time to reverse the curse and solve your sweaty sleep problems with Coop Sleep Goods. Their entire cooling collection, including pillows, sheets, and more, is equipped with cool-to-the-touch technology that actually stays cool all night long, no matter your sleep style. Their award-winning pillows are customizable for side, back, stomach, or combo sleepers. Put an end to thermostat wars and stop flipping to the cool side of the pillow. Save the sweat for big presentations in the boardroom or pickup ball in the rec room. Visit coopsleepgoods.com/sports to get 20% off your first order. If you don't sleep cooler and better, return it risk-free with their 100-night sleep better guarantee. That's COOP sleepgoods.com/sports. Confronting high credit card debt can feel scary. But the good news is, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, financial relief options are now available. National Debt Relief is currently offering debt relief designed to reduce what you owe, fast-tracking your way to being debt-free. If you qualify for debt relief, you may be able to pay back significantly less than what you owe and save thousands of dollars. Imagine only paying one low monthly program payment you can afford and saving money as you become debt-free. National Debt Relief has already helped bring debt relief to over 550,000 U.S. consumers, earning thousands of five-star reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're stronger than your credit card debt. Take the first step and visit nationaldebtrelief.com to see what debt relief you qualify for. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
Lowe's knows how to help make your home holiday ready for less. Get Select Style Selections vinyl flooring for just $1.99 per square foot and have it installed before the festivities begin. Our team can help you every step of the way. See a Lowe's Red Vest associate or visit Lowe's.com/holiday install to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save. Basic install only. Date restrictions apply. Subject to availability. Installed by independent contractors. See associate for details. Contiguous U.S. only.
All right. Well, there you go. There's a lot of downgrades. I have a few myself here, some of the sames. But, Stefan Diggs, man, he hasn't done nothing for the Patriots, Dave,
No.
That's
a good one, actually, as well.
Yeah, I had some hope with him, drafting him late. But, man, he has just been awful. And it seems like Boutte or Mac Hollins is better. I don't know. He is just not doing it. And I don't know if you're going to drop him, but I think you bench him until he does something.
You're definitely not dropping him, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's been struggling so far.
And Ashton Genty, dude, I know he's playing the Bears, but man, I mean, this is a terrible Raiders offensive line, and they probably should have thought about that before drafting a running back. Man, I don't like Genty this year going forward if you have better options. David Montgomery has a tough one against the Browns. You saw what the Browns do to running backs. It's not pretty. So think about David Montgomery there. Javonte Williams against the Mad Packers defense. Ugh, I don't like Javonte Williams. I might have to bench him this week myself. Kenneth Walker against the Cardinals is kind of sus. Cardinals been decent against the run. Not so much the pass, but better against the run. Deebo Samuel against a Mad Falcons team is kind of rough. I don't think you're starting Deebo Samuel anyway, but if you are, that's pretty pathetic. Aaron Rodgers against the Vikings D is bad. I don't like Aaron Rodgers at all this week.
I forgot that one. That's a good one, actually.
Yeah. DK Metcalf, throw him in there too against Vikings D. And hate to say it, but Danny Dimes is finally going to have a tough matchup here at the Rams, a pissed-off Rams team that had a blocked touchdown. They're going to win the game, then the block happens. Not only do they lose, they don't even cover, man. It was like the baddest beat in the NFL in quite a long time. And I like Danny Dimes, but now we're going from my nasty sleeper to my bust list, Dave. So, I mean, they'll shock me. They'll shock me if they do put up some decent points.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with Genty. I think he's one of those busts that we were talking about before. A few of the busts this year so far. He's definitely in that bust category. Everyone drafted him as a top 12 running in the first round in the top 12 picks. So definitely a bust so far. Most people drafted him in the first round.
All right, nasty sleeper time, Dave. Should I go first?
Go ahead.
Nick Chubb. Look,
really, that's a surprise.
It's a sleeper. But look, the Titans are terrible, man. Freaking terrible. And the 0-3 Texans are desperate. And this is a bad offensive line. But I think they're just going to dig deep against a terrible Titans team and bring it. I think Chubb's going to have a freaking big game. And it's a nasty, nasty sleeper, Dave. That's why it's not just sleeper. That's why it's a nasty sleeper.
That is a nasty, nasty one. I like Woody Marks for them better than I think Chubb, actually. But my nasty sleeper is actually going to be Geno Smith against your poor Bears pass defense. I love Geno Smith. He had a great game this past week. I look that to continue this week, and I like the trade target connection too. But definitely, I'm going D, and my nasty sleeper is going to be Geno Smith. I look for him to have a big game this week.
You know, you've been really sticking to running backs. I noticed. So that's interesting. Or quarterbacks, I should say, because you went Danny Dimes last week. We could have said Tua is nasty sleeper, too, the way he's been playing, and not a lot of people are playing him.
He's been playing well.
Well, he played well last week until he threw the interception, but I think that now that he's got the Jets, I think this is kind of like a get off the bench and you better do something type thing. Even though you don't like your coach, you got to win. By the way, Nick Chubb has had 34 carries, and the next is C.J. Stroud with 13, and then Woody Marks is 12. So Nick Chubb has way more carries. So I still like Nick Chubb there. Just FYI, Dave. Anything we missed?
Woody Marks, I'm telling you. The rest of the year wise, though, I'm saying going forward, Woody Marks is going to take over that backfield eventually.
This is my 1 week nasty sleeper, so we're sticking with Nick Chubb. Anything we miss?
I don't think so. Crazy week in the NFL with all the blocked field goals. Looking forward to some good football this week as well. Some nice matchups this week.
It made a lot of defenses interesting, especially if your defense scores on special teams, man. It was a hell of a week in the NFL, but let's see if we get another one this week and maybe a few upsets. We haven't had any real big upsets lately. You know, I guess the Packers one was big, but you know,
the Eagles is big.
Yeah, for Survivor, it hasn't been so big.
And the Carolina Panthers was a big one too. That was a pretty big upset too.
That was big, but they're both road. I want to see a home upset by somebody, just not my Survivor play, if it's going to be. I was on the Colts this week for Survivor. I picked the away team, but I was hoping a few upsets. But then Seattle just immediately said we ain't losing these guys, so it didn't happen. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast. If you have any questions for us, feel free to tweet us at The Oddsbreakers, emails at info@theoddsbreakers.com. Remember, I am only doing one weekly podcast on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific to talk college and NFL, and maybe on Friday night into Saturday morning we'll do a quick market analysis for the college football and NFL games. In the meantime, make sure you enjoy the rest of your week and go get some winners.
Do you ever scroll through social media only to find yourself bombarded by bad news, worse comments, hot takes, picture perfect families, and yet another humbling professional update, it's hard not to get wrapped up in how everyone else is doing. But imagine how you'd feel if you spent just 45 minutes focused on how you're doing. At Cerebral, we make it easier than ever to access dedicated therapists and doctor-prescribed medication personalized to you. And the best part? Cerebral offers in-network care, so you can focus on feeling better without worrying about the cost. In fact, 72% of people say they felt better in just 12 weeks. So take the first step today. Visit Cerebral.com/podcast to see how affordable and accessible mental health care can be with insurance.
Sleeping hot and sweaty, tossing and turning all night is like being on a team that never has home field advantage. You're losing before the day even begins. It's time to reverse the curse and solve your sweaty sleep problems with Coop Sleep Goods. Their entire cooling collection, including pillows, sheets, and more, is equipped with cool-to-the-touch technology that actually stays cool all night long, no matter your sleep style. Their award-winning pillows are customizable for side, back, stomach, or combo sleepers. Put an end to thermostat wars and stop flipping to the cool side of the pillow. Save the sweat for big presentations in the boardroom or pickup ball in the rec room. Visit CoopSleepGoods.com/sports to get 20% off your first order. If you don't sleep cooler and better, return it risk-free with their 100-night sleep better guarantee. That's COOP sleepgoods.com/sports.